It may or may not come as a surprise to you, but theater people are very superstitious. There's a lot of things we do. Some of them we know why we do them, some of them we don't, but we do them anyway. William Shakespeare is one of the most famous playwrights in the history of theater, dare I say. Yet there's one title that you dare not utter within the walls of a theater. It is the play Macbeth. You should refer to it as either the Scottish play, or Macbeth, or a host of other nicknames. They say that the witches' spells that are chanted during this show are actual real witches' spells. And a group of witches during Shakespeare's time put a hex on that production and any subsequent production of the Scottish play.
I put a spell on you.
You also hear many stories of injuries, even deaths happening on stage. A recent production of Macbeth on Broadway was at the Ethel Barrymore Theater, and producers mounted a sign on the doors of the theater encouraging audience members not to say the title of the show while they were inside the theater. I hope it worked.
Peacock feathers also have a really negative connotation because if you think about a peacock feather, it looks like an evil eye. Costume and set designers are as superstitious as all of us crazy actors. So if you look back at the history of Broadway costumes and sets, you will not see many examples where peacock feathers are used. In the current national tour of the show Love Never Dies, which is the sequel to Phantom of the Opera, there is a scene where Christine comes on stage in this beautiful peacock dress, and the whole set behind her, everything is peacock, and it's gorgeous. But all of us here at Broadway Up Close are just a little bit nervous for them tempting fate with all of those evil eyes on stage. One of our green team guides is in that production, and so we've been checking up on him regularly, and we are happy to report that so far nothing has gone awry.
The next time you see a show on Broadway, if you stay in your seat after the show, you might see a stagehand bring one lone light bulb on a pole, sometimes surrounded by a metal cage. That is the one light that remains lit on stage overnight, and that is our ghost light. The origins of the ghost light are very, very functional. Before Thomas Edison invented the light bulb in 1879, we lit the stages with gas lamps. When we moved to gas lamps in the 18-teens, there was one little flicker of a flame that remained lit overnight to prevent a buildup of gas happening in the pipes, so that when you turned on the lights for the show, there wouldn't be a big explosion. It's very similar to the pilot light on my gas stove. It's an old stove. Once we moved to electric light bulbs in the 1880s, we were used to having that little bit of light at night, so we electrified. And it's nice to keep the spirits at bay.
Another one of our favorite superstitions is that it is bad luck to whistle on a Broadway stage. So this dates back to the early 1900s as Broadway really becomes the theater district that we know and love today. Everything backstage was rigged, so picture ropes and pulley systems and sandbags and all of that good stuff. Now also keep in mind, New York City is a huge port city, which means there's all these ships coming into the East River and the Hudson, and so all of these sailors were picking up extra work working backstage at Broadway theaters because it was that same form of manual labor. So how these sailors communicated to each other on ships was through whistling, and they had the same universal language backstage. Picture you are center stage on Broadway, belting your heart out, and you whistle. You might have just accidentally signaled to all those guys backstage to bring in the next set piece, and now that awesome note just became the last note that you ever sang.
And I just want to wish everybody good luck.
We do not say good luck, we say,
Break a leg?
Yeah, break a leg!
There are a lot of different theories on where this term originated. Perhaps when you're getting rapturous applause from the audience, you might take an extra deep bow and thusly break the line of your leg. Our favorite theory on where this term originated dates back to the vaudeville days. Often there was a surplus of talent around the stage, and it wasn't very uncommon for someone to get chosen to perform at a moment's notice. If you got selected, you would cross from the wings of the stage to on stage, and you would pass long, narrow curtains which block the audience's sight into the backstage area. These curtains are called the legs. If you got chosen to perform, you'd be breaking the leg by walking on stage, and thusly would get paid and could afford to eat dinner that night. Thank you for joining us as we have recapped our top 5 Broadway superstitions.
To hear more Broadway superstitions and all of our favorite ghost stories, you should come walk the sidewalks of New York City with us.
You can visit us on the web at www.broadwayupclose.com.
Happy Halloween!